Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication did not work for me. Modern medication.
Hello, welcome to Mercy TV, your source for news and information on the cannabis issue with a focus on medical as that issue unfolds here in Oregon, across America, and around the world. Greetings, I'm Perry Normal, and along with Sunny and PK, we'll be hosting this segment of Mercy TV. Today we're going to be talking some about, all about education, because that's what we do here, is get information, news and information for you, the cannabis consumer or average citizen who is either concerned about the issue or consumes cannabis yourself, or you know someone who's relying on cannabis, whether it's explicitly for medical purposes or what have you. So, as we were talking earlier before the show, there's two sides to the discussion, really. When you go over the overall cannabis issue, the question is, why isn't it legal? Why is there still cannabis prohibition? And if you look at the three pillars of cannabis prohibition, the three big lies that that it's based on, there's the it has no medical value item, the medical cannabis side. In fact, it's evil and dangerous and kills people, makes you insane, has other medical negative effects on people. And then the other the other stand, the tripod of cannabis prohibition is that industrial cannabis has no value. That the claims that you can use it to do things with are over-exaggerated, and also you can hide medical marijuana, or you can hide regular marijuana inside the hemp fields. It's just a front to get it out there to little children and things like that. So the thing about ending prohibition is, an acceptance and understanding of the positive benefits, and a recognition that the negative things that are said about it are in most cases complete falsehoods.
Well, and when you're talking cannabis marijuana.
Well, and there you go. When you're in a conversation and the terms are marijuana, pot, dope, weed, skunk, the devil's weed, the so forth, you're probably not having a conversation on medical science and fact. It's probably more emotions, and people are talking about, either something they heard or a bad experience they themselves have felt, and are giving credence to some of the reefer madness, the cannabis prohibition propaganda, that we have to admit. I mean, American society has been getting the equivalent of the reefer madness movie for decades. Billions of dollars have been spent on demonizing marijuana and pushing out the word marijuana to talk about cannabis with its deliberate pejorative terms. What does it invoke? What do you think of when you hear marijuana? And so that's part of our education. Cannabis is benign. It's the most safest and of all the things out there people use to treat themselves with. There's no level of cannabis, no percentage, no quantity that you can take that would overdose on, that would kill you.
Well, you can eat it.
You
Right.
don't
So,
have to smoke it to get the effects of the plant.
so even when folks talk, okay, well you're going to get you're smoking it, which is going to raise your blood pressure and so forth. Well, okay, even if that's true, but it's not to a degree, but even so, then there's other means to smoke it. So each level of negativity can be addressed.
Vaporizing.
By some method or methodology to negate whatever negative consequences might be, like smoking. Well, you don't have to smoke it. You can vaporize, which is not
Or
smoking.
put it in your butter or into your
And then
oil.
make something to eat.
Right, consume it in edibles and so forth. So, when you're talking about how you can't allow it because of fill in the blank, those aren't true.
And then make the oils that you make the coffee, that you put in the coffee that you drink every day, that they do every morning. These are the things that you learn when you're the patient, and it's back to the education, but it's the medicine,
Right.
back to the
So,
cannabis.
So as you folks go through your journey through life and you try to use cannabis or make it part of your life, you're talking with your doctor, you're talking with friends and family, and you're trying to discuss important issues like, where do you get it? How do you take it? How much do you take? And how often? The doctors talk about titration, what's your dosage, and so forth.
And that's how much you take to feel relief from the pain that you're suffering. And sometimes the pain that's in you is in your internal organs where you're eating or putting it on topically or drinking a teaspoon of it.
Well, because when we had a patient that came and the oil that was in one of those joints that we smoked with her, very good. Now see, she had very not good lungs, but she just took a couple little, and it was good because she just took a couple, and it was good for her.
And
It was-
like eating it.
but
You
no,
just want to eat a little
but
bit.
it was good for her. And she said, oh, I feel so good. And for the next few hours, she was really good. But you know what? In a few days, she came back. Oh, and right away, it wasn't good for her. But you know what? Like Sis said, she goes, oh, I think it was the strain. And these are the things we need to pay attention to, because the strain of the medicine, the oil too, because when these things, and how high the percentage, when you find out that, because, the strains make such a difference, and then she can't. Because it's not good. It is good, but not so much, too much. Because then it's too much.
Well, and you have to.
It works, but
It helps to
it's too
determine
much.
what the basis that these folks are determining this on. Normally, it's in the pain relief, although sometimes it could be on, what other effects it's having on you, like how it tastes, the smell, and so forth.
And that's what we got to do, though.
And there's no, and what's really helping them is the CBD, CBNs, which is long term, and you really can't tell. I can feel that CBD acting, but over time,
the percentage and the strain, and because when it's mixed with some medicine,
there's a number of
with
factors
some
as we
oil.
found, and so there's your whole growing cycle for the plant to get the maximum out of it. Don't harvest it too soon. And then there's curing and how it's kept. There's also the strain. Then there's also the modality, how you prepare
Very
it.
important.
If you just make tea, that's one thing. If you make oil out of it, if you concentrate your oil, that's another thing. So there's a lot of factors goes into how effective it is, efficacious, but the important thing is to note that while it's very effective in some cases, it doesn't affect people as well in others. It does not hurt people. It doesn't. This is something that you literally have nothing to lose by trying. It's not going to hurt you. It's certainly not going to kill you.
But you notice the patient goes, oh, when you see, yes, I notice, you see there is because it's better,
The bottom line is, it has medical value.
Yes. And that's what we're looking for, and it's just this strain difference.
So the federal determination that marijuana, parentheses, cannabis, has no medical value is false, and we must overturn that and effectively end cannabis prohibition for all the different things that we need to know to be properly studied and identified. What the best dosage and titration and so forth is in the best modality. Get the best strains out there with the least THC, if that's your freaking problem. And get these CBDs, CBNs out there. Get regular Joe and Jane person growing their own. I mean, that's the thing. They're trying to control this so only Big Pharma can grow it. Even those few cases where they do recognize it as medicine, it's still only allowed to be under the big corporate model, which is, wrong.
This is why I show you in my garden how to take care of your plants and get the best out of the season.
For us, because one seed can do all of these things for all of these conditions for you. And that's what we need. And when we find that we can do this, and it's so good for us, and the education starts here, and we do this, and it's so good. And we're so thankful that we can do this, And Perry, when you start sharing all of that information, and and Pete's doing all of those things, wow, look what we're doing. And look how far and wide all that information goes.
Yeah, you just can look up a lot of the information on your telephone or your computer outlet or Google. I mean, technology is way over my head.
Well, and if you have another way that you see that the cannabis is helping you, then let us know.
Well, and folks, how we talk about taking action, effective change, which is not easy under the days of COVID-19, but it's networking that gets effective change in the communities. And once you've got the law and then you've got to implement it, that's everybody growing and sharing their medicine as much as possible. And not just that, but how to best turn it into the most effective means for consuming it, depending on your condition and situation. And generally, reinforcing the medical cannabis, making it happen, making sure the laws are effective, that the lawyers, the legislators, reflect the will of the people on this issue. And I think you'll see all the other issues coming into line. I mean, if they're not medically, scientifically acting where COVID-19 is concerned, they're probably not doing it as where cannabis is concerned either. So you want to get those legislators out of there, because now it really is a matter of life and death, yours. And I assure you that the legislators aren't taking the same chances as you. When they say you can't have a vaccine yet, rest assured they're getting it. When they make the same treatment that the president took to survive COVID-19 is available only to the fat cats in there, so they're not as concerned about you, Joe and Jane Citizen. Just like cannabis. I mean, cannabis prohibition only applies to the peasants. The rich people get all the cannabis they want, so you're not really preventing it.
Well, what's important is the medicine is good for you, And when you have that education and you know what you can use it for and all of the things, you know what, you can use it when your doctor knows that you're using it, and your blood pressure, and we know the cancers and all the things that patients know, that we've been sharing it and using it for 20 some years now, and all the patients know that this is what we can do, and it only makes it better. And this is what we're doing, and this is what we're sharing. So let us know, how can we help you? What more can we do for you? That's what we're doing.
So people in the hospital, I know you're watching us, I hope. Please talk to your doctors, talk to your children. Talk about the benefits of cannabis and how it's an alternative medicine to you. You can see by some of these commercials on pain relief and relieving eczema or other diseases you might have. But cannabis is beneficial in many different ways. There's many molecules in the plant, and even in the hemp plant. Now, they could save a lot of forests if we were using hemp instead of tearing down the forests.
Well, tearing it down and then leaving it bare, putting in a crop that's going to retain the soil so it doesn't wash away, causing mudslides, would have been beneficial in a number of cases. So hopefully it's something we can finally practice. It's been preached, I don't know, a couple of decades now by the likes of Jack Hare, for crying out loud. So,
well, medical cannabis has a lot of names and a lot of uses, and people are saying, well, medical this and cannabis that, and they're using different things in one seed, one plant, and these are what the things we're doing. One seed, one plant, and they do a lot, and it's all we're doing,
Yeah.
People know, one seed, one plant.
Started off as one plant way back when, developed into the different strains by mankind discovering it and raising it differently for the different strains, for the different purposes. And so from when we first discovered it probably 100,000 years ago to today, even back in 1776, George Washington grew hemp, and there's several entries in some of his journals about taking some of his hemp plants, putting them off to the side, if you were, and treating them differently in what historians believe was an effort to separate females and get the most out of the cannabis plant, including its THC, even though they didn't know at the time what it was. So even our founding fathers had a recognition of all the uses of the cannabis plant, and so encouraged it. And I think we need to get back to that, cut out this relatively recent, within the past 100 years.
100 years.
The past 100 years, pharmaceuticals, petrochemical, all these industries have come up against cannabis that's competition, and so now we've got this war that we should end.
Well, the animals can eat it.
Yeah.
I mean,
byproducts.
all of our animals at the farm ate it for a long time, and the animals were very good, very healthy, and all I can say is our animals were great.
So,
they were great, they were healthy, and now all my friends at the farm are telling me all their animals are great. It's just so sad. We have such a big window.
yeah. Well, it's sad how some animals are being treated better than people, and how cannabis is an accepted medicine and for a lot of people, for animals, but not for people. It doesn't make sense. So we hope everybody...
Or children.
Children, yeah. Wow, the cases of children taking, or veterans taking these powerful pharmaceuticals to deal with their various extreme conditions, and being left zombies, half dead, and unable to live real lives and debilitated, and having that replaced by cannabis to give them the relief that they're seeking without the debilitating side effects.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, you might think that cannabis is not a good pain reliever. Well, I was paralyzed and I was on morphine, and believe me, I know pain relief, and cannabis works.
I have carpal tunnel. That's why I made up the healing oil that I would get blessed by the priests at my church. But if you're in the cannabis or medical marijuana program in Oregon, please, when your card comes to renew, please renew it. I do it too. I know it's stupid, but I like the little protection that it gives us.
These are the things we want to share with others. Give them the confidence so they educate others and let them know that the medicine is good, that it works, and that they want to educate others and let them know that cannabis really works, and that marijuana, no matter what you call it, cannabis, marijuana,
Pot, weed, dope,
all right, if you want to call it weed,
hemp.
you know, if you want to call it hemp, call it hemp. I mean, I heard some people arguing over the Christmas weekend or Christmas Day, calling it hemp.
It is. It's sweet hemp.
It is. It is hemp. You know.
It's all these things and more.
It's all of it.
But I guess the thing is to consider the context of the discussion.
The
Are you
plant.
talking truth, facts, medical science? Are you talking reefer madness propaganda? I guess is the...
And that's the thing, Perry.
Thing.
People have to know one plant, one seed does it all. And you, please know that you can educate. And that's what we're trying to do here at the Mercy Center, is let people know one seed, one plant does it all.
Now, how many? There's 4 new states in the United States that recognize that cannabis is a product, a good product,
Yeah.
either medical or recreational. But look what we've done over the years and
Oh, yeah.
helped out. And we get stabbed in the back. We need to keep the medical program going.
Yeah, for an example, the medical program here in Oregon has been deteriorated to the point it's almost useless, and that's been deliberate because there are folks that would like to get rid of it for the few things that it does allow that recreational doesn't cover. But it's just the main principle. I mean, the folks who believe that cannabis is not medicine are still in power. There are legislators who have the ability to do this to the law, to keep it from being to tear it down and get rid of it. And so we need to replace those legislators, because we're not going to progress and advance to be what we should be, a leader in cannabis, particularly medical, throughout not just the U.S., but around the world. There's financial benefits from being so. There's the health to this state as well as the nation that's at stake here, as well as a moral and spiritual obligation to recognize the truth and to allow science and medicinal facts rule instead of emotions and special interests with their obvious need to not allow things except for their version of things. Pharmaceutical industry comes to mind, you know. If we learn nothing from the recent opioid crisis, it should be how that comes about. And it was a two-pronged effort. You know, on the one hand, they lied about their stuff and it's, on the other hand, lied about the alternatives, the things that would their competition, you know, and so let's hope that we've truly learned our lesson on both sides of that, and we'll institute laws that work effectively and see to it that things that work and have almost no negative effects, certainly don't kill you, like cannabis
Or alcohol.
or an option, and are not, you know, made illegal to even so much as talk about it here. You know, we've got to cut this out.
Well, and there's so many healthy things you can do, and they're healthy for you, and they're healthy for your organs, for all your body, and for your blood. And they
2
do
minutes, I think.
they do so much for your neurological and for all your organs in your body. And that's the other things as far as, you know, the alternative. You know, it does not one thing, there's many. You
What-
know.
Okay, I hate to interrupt you all, but it's the end of the show. Thank you for watching the program. Please get in touch with your legislators, talk to your doctors, talk to your children. We need your help. Thank you for Dr. Rebecca, Nurse Edge, and Mike, Shauna, Grandma Janet, and all the other favorite and little buddies of ours. Be safe. When you need to, wear your mask. Please. Love and peace and happiness, and Happy New Year's. Season's greetings.
Thank you, CCTV, and all that are there, and all that has helped all these years. And, you know, we have so many blessings, and thank you.
Thanks for viewing. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll see you here next time on Mercy TV.
And when you're smoking with your buddies, everybody have their own smoking instrument.
Register, vote, and get everyone you know to do so also. Talk it up. Friends, family, legislators, everybody. We'll see you next time on Mercy TV.
You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.